to staff on that if I could.
Sure. Is there anything I can clarify for you, Commissioner?
Certainly. Is there going to be any street deviation as far as the drives into the in and out of the facility?
Chair Higgs and Commissioner Gonzalez, there would not be any changes to the driveways or access to the property currently with the proposal.
Okay. And then and I'm sorry, I didn't see the landscape design on that, but is there a screen walls around the air compressor?
Currently, there is not any screening around there. There would be some landscaping adjacent to it, but not currently. That would be part of the design review portion, so that does come later. There's a corresponding development review board case that's going to go to DR after this hearing.
I was at the site today, again, looking at it, and I noticed the dumpster site also is probably not the best type of fencing around that. Are there going to be any improvements to that area that you know of?
Commissioner Gonzalez, the applicant has proposed improvements to the trash enclosure adjacent to, or for the trash enclosure, yes.
Okay. And then because of the convenience store, the added traffic, has that been studied or anything to that point?
The traffic department was a part of the review, transportation department, and they would have commented if they thought that the extent would have increased the parking demand or traffic demand.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. And thank you, sir, for taking the time to answer questions. Appreciate it. Okay, with that, if there aren't any other comments or questions, may I ask for a motion?
Chair Higgs, if I could make yet another motion.
Yes.
I guess beforehand, I'd just like to say it's nice to see a small business owner improving the property and taking what is potentially functionally obsolete and making it more productive for you as a business owner. So thank you for doing that. I'd like to make a motion for recommendation of the approval to City Council for case 50 UP 1977 number 2 per the staff recommended stipulations after finding that the criteria for conditional use permit have been met.
We have a motion from Commissioner Scarborough and a second.
Second.
A second from Commissioner Ertel. Roll call vote, please.
Chair Higgs,
Yes.
Vice Chair Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Gonzalez,
No.
Commissioner Kaminsky,
Yes.
Commissioner Ertel,
Yes.
Commissioner Joyner,
Yes.
Commissioner Scarborough.
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. So with that, we'll move on to our final agenda items. 4 GP 2022 Parkway Plaza and 5 9ZN 2022. I assume they'll be presented together. Mr. Barnes, thank you.
Good evening, Chair Higgs, Vice Chair Young, members of the Planning Commission. I am Jeff Barnes with the city's Planning Department. I will be giving you a combined presentation for these two cases. So this site, also located on McCormick Parkway on the northern curve as it comes back around toward Scottsdale Road, is shown in the highlighted yellow there, just a little bit east from Scottsdale Road at the Northern Avenue and McCormick Parkway intersection. A little closer view, you can see this is an existing developed site, has currently 3 office buildings on it. The middle building there is a 2-story building. The requests before you tonight are first a recommendation to City Council regarding minor general plan amendments to change the designation from employment office to commercial. The second is the accompanying recommendation to City Council regarding the zoning district map amendment from the current commercial office to neighborhood commercial on that site. Notably, the zoning change will allow for the integration of dwelling units into this site, which is not currently a use permitted under the CO zoning. So I mentioned the site currently CO, looking to change to C1. Also the general plan designation currently office, aligning with the CO, looking to change to commercial, aligning with the C1 request. So I touched on it briefly, but the sort of driving force behind this is the attempt to gain the ability to have dwelling units as a permitted land use within the zoning on the site. And so the proposal is intending through the development plan to allow for the incorporation of 4 dwelling units within that middle building, which is the 2-story building. And then there would be 4 office spaces made up within the remaining 2 buildings on the either side. The C1 zoning does limit dwellings to a 1-per-1 ratio. 1 dwelling unit per 1 business. Not going through all of this, but maybe just highlighting some of the changeover. I mentioned the point being pursued. The existing CO zoning normally allows for 48 feet of building height, but when adjacent within 100 feet of residential zoning, it's only allowed up to 32 feet in height. That would be the situation at this site. The change proposed to C1 allows for 36 feet, so there is a 4-foot differential, although the applicant is not proposing any height change to the building, and we are framing this in the context of that development plan, which does not indicate any proposed changes. So that's not contemplated, but for your consideration of the difference between the districts, that's mentioned here. The site will be required 29 parking spaces. They currently have existing 65, so there is sufficient parking to account for both the proposed resulting office and residential use. There is no new parking proposed to be created there. Utilizing the existing parking is what the development plan accounts for. This is the site plan, open space plan that was part of the development plan. It's a little zoomed out, but also really is just documenting the existing conditions of the site and the proposed configuration of 2 office suites in each of the flanking buildings, and then the dwellings in the middle. Getting a little detail for you on what was provided for conceptual floor plans. The proposal accounts for 2 units on the ground floor and 2 units on the second floor, generally mirroring each other in the configuration shown here. This would be the ground floor plan with common space in the middle and the units on each side. This would be the upper level plan with a similar distribution. That completes staff's presentation. Happy to answer any questions. The applicant is also here and available to come up and answer questions for you.
Thank you, Mr. Barnes. Do we have any questions for staff before or requests to hear from the applicant? Yes, Vice Chair Young.
Actually, I do have one question. So right now, this is all one parcel, right?
Chair Higgs, Vice Chair Young, it is a singular parcel that has a condominium plat that breaks down the regime of each of the
Okay, that was my next question.
Yeah.
You answered it. Thank you.
Commissioner Joyner, do you have any questions for staff at this point?
I do. I have one question. I didn't see any elevations of the exterior, if any changes were going to be made. So is this going to go to DRB if it's approved by us tonight for any changes that would be made to the exterior?
Chair Higgs, Commissioner Joyner, the development plan that was provided accounts for some minimal changes of creating roofed connection between the buildings. There are currently corridors, and part of that proposal is to integrate roof connections between them. Other than that, there has not been a lot of exterior change proposed, and so that's why we did not have those details in the packet. That would need to go through some level of a development review board process. We would need to understand that a little more detail with the applicant and determine whether that's a administrative level or something that would go to the board.
Thank you.
Mr. Barnes, if you could remind me, did you say, you said the applicant is here. Do they have a presentation prepared?
I don't think so, but
Okay.
I hopefully have
No,
enough
okay.
slides.
Okay, I was going to say if they do, then they, at this time, it would be great if they could present, because we do have some written comments on this case and a request to speak. So maybe we'll just hold off and have the audience member speak and then see if any questions are generated. So thank you very much. So with that, public comment, we have, looks like Sherilyn Yoke. Would you like to speak? Just a reminder, you have 3 minutes, and if you could first please state your name and address.
Hello, my name is Sherilyn Yoke, and I and my neighbors that are also here, we're all neighbors in that community right behind this location. And it was just brought to our attention. We have concerns regarding traffic. We have concerns regarding what types of residential units these are. Are they like, they're going to be rental units? Are they going to be built to be sold to the public? And then will they have any kind of Airbnb kind of implications? Or are they going to be lived in? Because that is a very like active area. You turn off Scottsdale Road and you're right there on the McCormick Parkway, and then you turn into Northern. And we all live off Northern right there. So the concern is just traffic impact, the housing impact, what types of units they're going to be. There had also been the mention of retail in that note we got. We didn't know what that meant, what kind, there wouldn't be retail. And so we just had concerns. I mean, I walk through that parking lot every single day, so I'm very familiar with the site, and I just would like to better understand what those units are going to be and what kind of enterprises are going to be going on there. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Yoke. At this time, if we could give the applicant a chance to respond to those questions. If, is it Mr. Williams? If you could please state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chairman Higgs and members of the Planning Commission. My name is Greg Williams, 1226 West Carroll Ann Way, Phoenix, Arizona. I represent the owners and process the case for 7400 East McCormick Ranch Boulevard. In regards to the type of residential units, they will be condominiums sold. You know, there's no plan for retail. The traffic study that we did shows that the impact on the neighborhood will not be significant. You know, condominium traffic is like maybe 4 units, 4 in and outs a day, maybe twice a day. We will not be making any changes to the exterior building. And I forgot the other question or concern that you had. There's no plan for retail. We have offices as per the requirement. No, the applicant is the investor, the applicants, and their intent is to sell units, sell 4 condominium units.
Since we have the applicant up here, any questions from commissioners? Looks like Commissioner Gonzalez.
I guess, just for clarification, who did your transportation study?
Loki Engineering.
Okay, very good. And then, so the plan right now is that they're not going to utilize these as a temporary shelter. They're not going to use this for any kind of rental use. They're going to do the interior remodeling, and the only renovation is really going to be on the interiors, no exterior modification?
That's correct. The Homeowners Association of McCormick Ranch made us commit to not touch the icon, which is the western entrance to McCormick Ranch. And we felt as though the building was important for us not to touch it. The only part we will do is per zoning, we have to make that connection in the breezeways.
Right, correct. Correct. And is this building sprinklered? I think, what year was it constructed?
I think it was 85.
So it should be, yeah, okay.
Yes.
Very good. And then I guess the only other question that might, for the public concern is that there was no major impact to traffic, and you're not recutting any driveways or anything?
No.
Okay.
No driveway cuts, no impact to traffic.
Okay.
No major impact.
And the total number of units are 4 in total?
4 total.
Okay, and in all intents and purposes, it's going to be sold, like you said, and it's not going to be a timeshare or anything that you know of?
Highest and best value.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Did you?
Help you answer question.
Oh, the architect, the sprinkler question.
The building's full.
If you, sorry, sir, if you could introduce yourself and state your address as well.
My name is Bing Hu. I'm an architect, also the owner of the building. So I've been living in the city of Scottsdale for 36 years. The whole intent of this kind of like live work.
Mm-hmm.
The purpose is try to reduce the traffic. If there any concern of traffic, we reduce probably by 70% of the traffic by converting to a residential use in the main building.
Okay.
The sprinkler, yeah, it's a fully sprinklered. So the building was built in 1985 by the original developer of McCormick Ranch, Jeffrey Edmonds. That was used to be his headquarters. He's original developer of McCormick Ranch. It's fully sprinkled.
Very good. Commissioner Joyner, thought I'd check in with you since we have the applicant and architect at the podium at this time. Do you have any questions?
No, I don't. Thank you very much.
Okay, great. Commissioner Kaminsky?
Thank you. I had some questions that I had forwarded to staff, and I believe they probably forwarded them to you also. It's a little unusual to be applying to amend the general plan and do a zoning application all for 4 units. I'm assuming you've done a study that indicates there's a demand for this, considering there's a substation behind this. It's not like in a neighborhood, it's in a commercial area.
The residential to the north and to the east back up against the public utility. We don't think that that's going to impact the sale at all.
Okay.
We had to do a minor general plan amendment to go from employment to commercial in order to do this.
To add residential.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you going to have reserved parking for the residents?
Yes.
Okay.
We also plan to have covered parking,
Okay.
and they will be identified. We have plenty of parking.
I know, yes.
Yes.
You mentioned that the attachment between the buildings was a requirement of zoning?
Yes, the requirement for live, work, play is that it be all in one building. And so there's 3 separate buildings, so we had to attach the buildings.
Not just on one parcel. They actually have to be attached?
Yes.
Commissioner Kaminsky, I don't have the zoning language in front of me, but it does speak to integration with the commercial and the residential uses, or the business and residential uses.
So if they're sharing the commercial trash and they're sharing the landscaping and they're sharing the parking area and the access walkways, was that not sufficient? I mean, the buildings are there, I guess. I'm kind of questioning the attachment of the commercial to the residential because it removes some existing landscaping, and I had some concerns about where the bedrooms were located, and I know that's a design issue, but it's adjacent to walkways that would be part of the commercial use as well. Is there a necessity to have that connection physically between the buildings? Or is it
Commissioner
something you could consider?
Kaminsky, I think the best answer I can give you is they were proposing that connection, and so we had not maybe
Evaluated.
gone that
Okay.
far down,
Okay.
that path to make a determination
That's
if they
great.
could do it with less.
Okay. I did have concerns about the proximity of the bedrooms on the first floor to the adjacent walkway. That's a design issue. Hopefully, that doesn't become a security issue for those residents. And I don't have my paper in front of me with the other questions by any chance. I don't know if you have a copy of that.
If we were connecting the buildings because of a requirement, if you believe that it will be better without connection and can convince staff, we will surely be happy for that.
Chair Higgs and Commissioner Quincy, as Mr. Barnes said, and as well as Mr. Williams, there is a code requirement that talks about physical integration. There's different ways of doing that. You pointed out some of that. But the intent is to, for a commercial district, to have the residential be part of the commercial, and that's why the code is written the way it is, and that's how it's typically been implemented to prevent standalone apartment complexes, for instance, that are
Right.
removed from the commercial.
And I guess if this were a clear development with nothing on it, I can understand that. But as a building that's purely commercial today and functions purely commercially, we're adding residents into it. It's kind of it's already there, I guess, the fait accompli. But if you guys could take a look at that, I hate to have the architecture modified if it doesn't have to be. And I noticed some changes to the banisters on the outside balconies and the rendering that was included as well. But that's a design issue, so I don't want to belabor the point here.
Yes, Commissioner Kaminsky, we much rather not connecting them, but it's a part of the zoning regulations. But we can connect it with trellis. It doesn't have to be a solid roof. So the planting the trees can still go through the trellis. If that satisfies the zoning regulation, we have to go to DRB, obviously, to any kind of structure. We much prefer that, so.
Thank you. Okay.
Was this your question regarding CCNRs?
There was a whole bunch of questions I had there, yeah, and
So
staff.
all these were your questions?
Yes, and staff answered some of them, thank you. But they also deferred to you for other ones.
Right. Do you want me to?
Answer those, if you could. Like the CCNRs, you have a condo plat today that's for commercial.
There are existing CCNRs, and we'll probably have to amend the
Okay.
vertical and horizontal regime definition of ownerships.
Okay.
And the common areas will be amended in the CCNRs. You had a question about security for external stairs?
And I just mentioned that, so that's more of a design issue.
Okay, and
Can I answer that question?
Hmm?
Can I answer that question about the external stairs?
Okay.
Yeah. The external stairs was exit from the second level, required 2 exit. That was left over from existing office building use. So McCormick Ranch thinking this building is an icon for McCormick. So they don't want us touching any exterior. So it's just left alone. So that particular unit on the second level could have a secondary exit, even if not required.
Okay. Thank you.
I believe we've gone through your questions.
I think so. Is there another one? Oh, the VRBOs we touched on a little bit. And just to clarify, once they're sold as condos, whoever the new owner is would be able to rent them out at their discretion as a condo unit, right?
That's probably the case of any condominium that's sold.
So you're not restricting that within the CCNRs?
I would have to discuss that with the owner. That's not, haven't been addressed yet.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Commissioner Ertel.
Just to clarify, I believe well, you tell me, what's the square footage of the dwelling units, each individual dwelling unit?
Each one is about 22,000 square feet.
Okay, all right, thank you. 2,200, yes.
I'm sorry, 2,200 square feet.
Yes,
Yeah.
I heard what you said and knew what you meant, so, okay, thank you.
If there aren't any other additional questions or comments, thank you, gentlemen, for speaking and
Thank
answering
you.
questions. We appreciate it. If there aren't any additional questions or comments, may I ask for a motion?
I guess I can make the motion. Well, maybe I can and maybe I can't. We're on 3 and 4 or just 4?
4 and 5.
4 and 5. Do I have 4 and 5? Somebody else make the motion.
Yeah, 5 is missing.
You want-
Oh, it's within the text. It's just not stated as the number.
Okay, so it's just number 4 on there, okay.
Correct.
Make a motion for recommendation of approval to City Council for cases 4 GP 2022 and 9 ZN 2022, per the staff recommended stipulations after finding that the proposed minor general plan amendment and zoning district map amendment are consistent and conform with the adopted general plan.
We have a motion from Commissioner Ertel and a second.
I'll second.
Second from Vice Chair Young. Roll call vote, please.
Chair Higgs,
Yes.
Vice Chair Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Gonzalez,
Yes.
Commissioner Kaminsky,
Yes.
Commissioner Ertel,
Yes,
Commissioner Joyner,
Yes.
Commissioner Scarborough.
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. And thank you again to the community members that took the time to attend the meeting today, speak, and submit their comments. We have shared them across the dais here, so thank you for that. Unless there's other final comments or questions, may I ask for adjournment? Motion for adjournment.
Second.
Oh, was there a first?
So moved.
So moved.
So moved. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. We're adjourned. Thank you. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you.